All right, everyone. Appreciate you guys coming on by. Like we said, we're going to talk a little bit about IAP, intra-abdominal pressure, as well as arm care and how it affects the players today. So my name's Travis Miller, Director of Sales with Core Energy. We are a belt manufacturer in the sporting goods world. Core Energy is a company that's been around for about 20 years. We started in Japan, so it's a Japanese-based company 20 years ago, and we've moved into the U.S. approximately 4 years now. So we've been selling to you guys, we've been selling to your colleagues for a little over 4 years here in the States. Core Energy as a company, it's an accessory. It's always been known as an accessory in the baseball world. Since the beginning of baseball, we've looked at belts as an accessory to the uniform. It's much more now a piece of equipment that is utilized for the players and can be adopted as a piece of equipment for your players, much like a glove, a bat, a pair of cleats. You want to make sure that you get the right fit. So we're here to stay, and we're excited to help all of you guys out that way. A little bit about Core itself is it was developed, like I said, about 20 years ago. Developed from a Japanese major league pitcher who was dealing with lower back fatigue, lower back pain, and he came to Core to figure out a solution, figure out a way to basically protect against what was happening to his body. So with the innovation, with the creation, and with the process, we came up with the belt that we have offered for you guys here over at the booth 1348. A little bit about Core. Like I said, 4 years ago, it really opened the North American market for us. We got an order from the LA Dodgers. So a little bit of history that way is once that happened, now we knew we had a product that could come to North America. You'll see a couple of our partners here on the screen. We like to say, we're involved in every single major league clubhouse. All 30 clubhouses in some way, shape, or form are representing Core, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, whether it's in their training staff. But you'll find Core at all 30 MLB clubhouses. We've gone down the ranks, kind of working from the top down, working with top colleges across the country, and we're looking to expand year after year, and now into the high school and travel ball ranks. So you'll see LSU, reigning national champions, they'll be in the belt this year. USC, longtime partner. We did develop, which is nice to note, is we did develop on the softball side last year, our very first softball partnership. So now we offer it both baseball and softball. We've got the Texas Longhorns, national champions. They'll be wearing it this year as well. If you haven't done so already, I'm going to have my gals behind. They're going to pass around some cards. Please register. Please sign up. We're going to be giving away a Cal Ripken Jr. autographed baseball. If you haven't done so, they've got cards there. The QR code, if you can scan it that way. But make sure you get your information in there, because as soon as this expo is done, as soon as this talk's done, we're going to head over to the booth and we're going to give that ball away. Pretty exciting stuff. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Ryan Crotin here. Ryan's the president of RC13 Sports. He's the executive vice president of armcare.com, and he's a performance advisor within our baseball community, within our baseball world, has worked with a lot of athletes already. He's going to share with you what the belt has done and what he's seen the belt change in the players going on.
Perfect. Is this mic on? Good, I can hear it. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you guys about this product, and I'm very grateful that you're here. I think you're all here because you want to learn something new, but I always start with asking questions. That's what you do in science. I'm curious to see how many of you, put your hand up, prioritize throwing 100 miles an hour over pitching 100 innings. Would you rather have a guy touch 100, or would you rather have them available for 100 innings? Okay, we got one guy that wants to see a guy throw 100, right, but not pitch for the year, right? And the same thing with hitters. We're so excited about the velocity attributes of players, but they're not playing, okay? So I'm sure you've been seeing that in the media. We're seeing more injuries than ever in the game. So independently, I do research on things that are focused on durability. I'm going to give you a little heuristic, all right? Durability is the most important ability, okay? Durability is the most important ability because if you don't have your players, you're pretty much in trouble. And so today I'm going to talk about this product that adds to durability, okay? And that comes with availability, so a player being able to be ready to play. Readiness is more they can accept the load and then also perform. The beautiful thing that I love about this belt is it maximizes performance, but we've been doing the studies to show that it can minimize injury, okay? First thing, I don't want to gross you out, all right? So we ask questions. How does this belt offer protection against surgery? I'll blow this up a little bit, all right? So we're going to talk about it. I hope you don't get too squeamish. No blood coming out, right? But this is happening at an incredible level. There's almost 2 million surgeries for the elbow and the arm, okay, in this country. You would have no idea how much money is spent, okay, in the US. Almost $3.5 billion on non-MLB players. That's a ton of surgeries that are happening. Put your hand up if you ever had a surgery or you've coached a player that's had surgery. Yeah, pretty much everybody, right? So we got to do something. And my life, I've been pretty dedicated to offering opportunities and research and education around eradicating this problem, okay? So we know we got a surgical problem, and this belt is showing some implications that it can improve it. How many of you, whether you like it or not, are using weighted balls for velocity enhancement? It's okay. So with velocity enhancement, there's extreme responsibility. You're using light balls, you're using heavy balls, you're running and gunning, you're doing things that really doesn't happen on a mound. So every single throw that's made like this, okay, is 10% more load to the arm. The thing that happens, and this is qualified in research, we got my man at the back says, I want my guy throwing 100 miles an hour. No, he's taking it back. He's taking it back. He wants players out on the field. Okay, good. So the issue is every time a player increases velocity for every mile per hour in an average pitcher, they increase the loading on their arm by 1 unit. Now imagine you're throwing 3,000 times this summer with this elevated load. It's like having an elephant sitting on your arm. Okay, so it's a problem. And the belt, has implications that it can enhance velocity safely. That's my thought, because it's around the core. Can we improve the core performance? Now, this is another problem that I think that the belt really can solve, and this is overuse. Now, we talked about the company coming from Japan. How many of you actually have ever heard of this tournament? Koshien. Put your arm up. It is freaking nuts. All right, 500 pitch limit. It used to be unlimited. It's a week-long tournament. It's to the death, one single game knockout. And I've coached some elite pitchers that have been in that tournament from high school. And I guarantee that's one of the reasons why they're manifesting injuries when they get to the major leagues, okay? They can pitch as a starter every single day. Now, the issue that we have, all right, in our country is there's so much unseen workload. The demands of practice can sometimes be even higher than in the games. And what we have to do is manage overuse. So that's another thing that I look for in products is how can we manage overuse injuries, accumulative effective injuries, and prevent those things. I believed the belt could do this. Okay, I'm wearing one too. You can wear it with jeans. It's kind of sleek. It's nice. All right, so I'm gonna go to the next slide. You can take a picture of this. I want you to, we have a smaller crowd, but if you guys are coming to us, we hope to the booth after, we're gonna show you how to do a belt fitting. I'm gonna give you my portion of the slide deck if you want it, all right? But this is an important model of how these injuries happen. There's 3 important factors, okay, that can really damage a player. Fatigue, all right? Fatigue does a few things and they're interlocked. It affects motor coordination, how the athlete moves. When we have a change in motor coordination, we can elevate loading on the joints. That's a problem. So we have to have a consistency in the way our athletes move. Now, fatigue also causes weakness. And weakness is a big problem because it impacts how we move, right? And it reduces the ability to resist loading to ligaments and tendons, all right? And my mindset was, can this belt reduce potentially core fatigue so that it can increase arm strength and have better precision and motor control. Motor control for me, I watch social media all the time, and every single video, nobody cares about catchers, by the way. Who coaches catchers? They're so out of the realm, they're so neglected, but every single video is from behind a pitcher's hand and a radar gun. But when I watch these things, the catchers can't even catch half of them, right? There was an expression that said, nobody cares how fast you throw a ball for. I believe it. And the motor control aspect is to be able to have precise accuracy. So that's really important. We're gonna look at that. I want you to stand up. You've been sitting for a while. Get up out of your seats, all right? Now, how many of you hit? I want you to turn to the side towards the stage, okay? Whether if you're a righty or left, yeah. Okay, and if you're lefty, you're right forward. And I just want you, don't hit the person in front of you. I want you to pretend like you're making contact and think about, what does my core do at that point? Do you blow out? Does that happen for any of you? Or do you, at the point of contact, is it tight? It's generally, if you want the bat to move quickly, you're not blowing out because you're reducing intra-abdominal pressure. You're losing velocity of the lead arm, okay? Now, intra-abdominal pressure that's managed with this belt, what happens is your body has to be better, and it doesn't matter if you're releasing a ball. You hear it in tennis, they grunt. That doesn't normally happen in our sport, right? We kind of laugh when we see that or hear that. But your muscles of your obliques, the muscles behind your back, okay, and your diaphragm have to contract together. Your diaphragm works like a piston and pushes down, and you're trying to create pressure, okay, in your core so that you can accelerate arms, and even legs when you're sprinting. This thing for baseball testing, I tell my athletes in the first 3 steps, don't breathe. I want them really stiff to push hard off the ground. This belt assists the process of intra-abdominal pressure and integrating the core. It's like a retaining wall, all right? And I've studied it in pitchers. Okay, you can sit back down. So I'm gonna blow this up. Remember this schematic. Altering fatigue, right? Impacting less weakness, improving motor control. Now, I'm gonna blow this up so you can see the animation. The pelvis in anything in baseball is essential. Okay, it's our biggest storage of energy. It's our biggest place where we transfer it. And the belt is worn very close to the center of mass. Okay, now if you haven't come to the booth, the reason why you're like, okay, it's just a belt. If you take your regular belt with your team, I guarantee you pull it tight, you can floss it through your teeth. It offers absolutely no functional stability at all. It doesn't provide a retaining wall. This belt, you can stretch the hell out of it and it still maintains 5 millimeters. I tried. I had 2 players play tug of war with it. All right, it's really strong. And so what happens is it allows you to be forceful. Remember I told you if you better with your core integration to push, our drive hip stores the energy so that when we land, all that energy that you are building up, it goes into your legs and your trunk. And then it transfers to the arm. So if we have a problem where we're leaking energy in our core, that's an issue. So this is not a belt. This thing for me is truly a piece of advanced technology, okay? It really is. Now I'm gonna talk to you guys about the studies that we've done. So it's not just I'm talking about this out of thin air. We've actually published research, okay? And what we did, the first study was to look at pitchers, and I know it's gonna have the same kind of effect for hitters, is we want to see what happens to arm strength when you're wearing this belt, okay, to integrate what the core needs to do. Okay, so we had 13 pitchers in this case study. They threw 2 simulated games, and we did a pre-test at the regular belt length with this belt, cinching it as tight as possible. Okay, 2 extremes, what happens if we really create a lot more pressure, and the regular dental floss belt, right, that you guys all have. And the interesting thing is, at the same time, I was doing a study, okay, looking at Tommy John surgery cases that could potentially be influenced by arm strength. And we actually looked at a college team and we found that when players lost grip strength and we caught a Tommy John situation, they had more load on their UCL and this one snapped. We had one that came in and it was snapped. He had arm pain and it snapped. So we know that fatigue in the arm is really a problem. weakness in the arm is really a problem because it can't protect, the muscles can't protect the ligament. So what do we find? All right, I'm gonna click on some findings here. 77% of our athletes that use this belt in this study, either cinched super tight or regular belt length, they increased their strength to body weight. So that's a big piece. Their arm force, all right, was elevating versus how big they are. If you're a big dude that throws hard with a wet noodle of an arm, you're in big trouble, all right? Really big trouble. So that happened, number one. Number two, my heart was racing because I was so excited, all right? Number two, 93%, I'm gonna say it again, almost 100% of our athletes had boosted forearm strength, okay? And I just told you, I just did a study that showed strength loss and Tommy John risk going up, right? This thing was able to boost the grip strength for pitchers, reducing the risk of injury, okay, in my opinion. So now you probably don't care about that because it's not really sexy to a lot of people in the sport of baseball about injury prevention. It's really not even really an exciting word. But you will care about this because we also looked at performance. Remember, we got to maximize performance, we got to minimize risk, okay? So we had them throw, and the first thing we talked about velocity being important, talking about no weighted balls, okay? No change in programming because we couldn't have that happen or it would cloud the results. So what do we find there with this belt? We had an increase, so the guys that wore the belt, either cinched or regular belt length, they saw an increase in fastball velocity, the majority of them, okay? And we gotta show you guys how to customize this because too tight might not be good and too loose might not be good, right? Other thing that happened, change-up velocity elevated. They had more of a perspective that it looked realistic to a hitter. Okay, it didn't look like they were throwing like an egg and it was a pie. You know, it looked like the fastball was coming. So we know those things are great. Now, remember I told you, let me ask somebody, Cole, I increase velocity by 1 mile an hour. What happens with load? Goes up by 1 unit, right? And I just showed you it increases strength. You're getting a strength increase with a velocity boost just by wearing a belt. Pretty easy, right? You got some protection there. So I want you to consider this, right, as being something that's super important. Now, we talked about the overuse. I said nobody cares how hard you throw ball four, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Guys they're less accurate than they've ever been because they're throwing into a wall and they're not even playing catch with anybody anymore, right? So the biggest thing is, how do we reduce overuse and throw more competitive pitches? So we saw some really cool effects in accuracy. Now, I didn't look at the 3D mechanics, but I have a zillion years of experience looking at 3D animation and working players through this. One of the things that I think happens because you can create intra-abdominal pressure at the right moment is they can stop well. Okay, so the pelvis can stop well, and the throwing armpit in maximal layback is angled more towards the catcher because they have better intra-abdominal pressure coordination. Okay, so I thought that was my theory. All right, some people think I'm smart. I don't think I am really. I think there's too many questions that I want to answer, but this is what happened. We had the majority of our guys more accurate with their fastballs, okay? And I gave them a radar gun display to throw the hell out of it. I wanted it in their face. Put some effort and energy into it, boys, all right? The other thing that I love seeing is the changeup was more competitive. Wasn't bouncing 2 feet in front of the plate. They were throwing strikes low in the zone. They had better command. They had better control of their center of mass. Better control of their center of mass, all right? So now we're throwing better competitive pitches. Now here's the thing. This is what matters to me. The deception. Deception, in my opinion, is having pitches that, one, look like they tunnel, and two, having a good spread between the fast fastball and the auxiliary pitches, all right? So, to me, this is the measure and identification of a good pitcher, pitchability, right? I know now you're 100 innings. We want them out there for 100 innings. Throwing 100, it might get you drafted. It might get you to a college. You might not get past AA because I've coached a lot of guys that can't get past AA because they have nothing else to support it. This is what this belt showed us, okay? 70% increase their deception, the effective velocity between pitches, which I absolutely love. This matters to me, man. And you're gonna see the spread is so different, almost 2 miles an hour. The guys that wore the belt, remember, they elevated their changeup, they elevated their fastball, and then the division of those velocities was greater. All we did again was change the belt tension, okay? Or using the regular belt where it was dental floss. Didn't get the same effects, okay? Not the same core integration. So I've given you the science, all right? You've actually got to feel what intra-abdominal pressure feels like as a hitter, right? Remember, we got to coordinate what our core does, and the same thing when we get to a release point, we can't blow out. A lot of guys, their faces even tighten, you know, when you watch them. So now we're gonna have a panel of unbelievable people. Just gonna say a little aside for Rob. Rob's from Canada. I grew up in Canada. I now live in this beautiful country and I love it. But he was a role model for me. And this is how the Lord works, because he randomly emailed me on LinkedIn and said, I've been watching your stuff. I got something you might be interested in. So I really am grateful, Rob, that you reached out to me about this beautiful company and the efforts they're making to change the game with a belt. And I'm gonna turn it back over to Travis, and we're gonna field some questions for you, and I hope you have them, all right?
Appreciate it, Ryan. Everyone give Ryan a round of applause. All right, so like Ryan was saying, and Ryan introduced, Rob there, we've got Rob Ducey here. Rob Ducey is a 13-year Major League Baseball veteran. He's a 2-time Olympian. He also is a head coach now down out of Tampa at Bishop McLaughlin. So Rob obviously has the experience, he has the years behind him, and Rob's seen both, what you call the dental floss belt versus the belt now, because Rob actually brought our core energy belt into his program a few years back. Ryan Weiss in the middle there. Ryan is a current pitcher. He just signed a contract with the Houston Astros. The last 2 seasons, he was playing overseas, Hannibal Eagles. I know that Ryan has been familiar with the belt. I know that he's going to continue wearing the belt. But we're very excited to have Ryan up here as well. So he'll answer any questions that you have. And then obviously, Dr. Ryan Crotin, who just gave you guys the presentation, anything on movement, anything on mechanics. Like I said, Ryan's the president of RC13 Sports. He also is the executive vice president of armcare.com. So I'll open the floor up right now. If anyone has questions for any of these 3 gentlemen, we'd be happy to answer them. The question was different widths of the belt. Have we tried different widths in manufacturing or producing? So I think what he's leading into, and Ryan, you could probably answer this one first, is it has a lot of simulations to maybe like a weight belt, a weightlifting belt. So is there an advantage to the width that we have in our belt versus some of the belts we saw passed around here?
So this is really interesting. It's a good question, because the limiter is baseball pants, right? We want a belt that functions on the field. However, I will tell you, in Major League Baseball, I personally trained pitchers when they came out of games. I didn't want to pre-fatigue them before they pitched. A lot of the courses I've been writing, that's a big thing. The issue is when they wear shorts. What do you do when they want to come out and they want to train and do things in shorts? And those are some things that we've discussed, and there's some options of looking at a non-typical baseball belt that you can use. Now, obviously, if you have more surrounding circumference, whether a player might wear it underneath their uniform, there's the potential to act like a weight belt. But the thing that's important is it can't affect rotational coordination. If you're too stiff, that's a problem. So that's the part of this belt that needs to be managed. We're going to talk about that after this at the booth, things to do and how to individualize it. But it's a very good thought, something we should actually think about.
I think that brings up another question that I currently have with Ryan Weiss in the middle there. When you are getting ready to throw, you're pitching that day, when do you bring the belt into play? When do you put it on, and versus what your pregame warm-up is in that aspect?
Yeah, I pretty much I throw the belt on whenever I put my pants on. as a starting pitcher, there's a lot of times where you're wearing pants without a belt. But I honestly, because of how much time you're standing around in the dugout or going to watch the other starting pitcher warm up, I kind of have mine on all the time. And I realized I had a back injury when I was in college. And so once I started wearing just like a normal leather belt, I was like, all right, that look like the look is cool, but I always wanted a elastic belt that looked like leather. So that's why I originally got the Core Energy belt. And then I kind of went away from it because I was like, it doesn't look as cool. And then my back started hurting me again. And then I went back to the Core Energy belt, and then my back never hurts. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stick with it.
That's a good question too, Rob. As a coach, and on your side, do you require your players, or do you have your players get in the belt as soon as possible, or what's your guys' method to madness when attacking a game time preparation?
The players are kind of on their own as far as go get ready after batting practice. But I introduced this into our program because I felt like it was beneficial for me as a coach. I don't know if you guys, a lot of guys have turf now, but I work on my field. I, drag the clay around and shovel and this. I never did any of that. I saw guys do that, and I'll share a story a little bit about a weed whacker. We needed one. So our assistant coach, he fired it up, and I took a couple steps back, and he looked at me like, dude, have you never used one of these before? I was like, no, I pay somebody to do this. So now I drive tractors, I do all the stuff, and I really applaud the amateur coach and what you guys do. So I do have a giveaway for that later. But as far as when to put the belt on, that's up to the player.
The comfort level. How's the comfort level, and do you pitch with it on during a game? How tight do you get it? Because as a pitcher, you can feel that, and you're like, you want to be comfortable. How's the comfort level?
Yeah, that's probably why I stay with it. And like he was saying, after this, go to the booth, because you can try one on yourself. I'm wearing one right now. And it's funny because I like to do a lot of stuff on my ranch. And so I really noticed it this off season when I was wearing just like a normal belt that I got from Bass Pro. And I was like, once I put this on, doing all my yard work, being on the tractor, doing a bunch of stuff, lifting and splitting logs, I was like, wow, like I'm really not hurting as much. And so
You use it every day.
you can use it during baseball, you can use it golfing, you can use it doing yard work, you can wear it whenever you want, however you want, and it's just comfy. That because I don't like leather belts. I think they don't move, and then if you're a little more overweight that day, then it's not gonna fit as right. Like there's some adjustment in this, and you can customize it by cutting the belt. So that's what I love it for the comfort too.
So the question was, what's the feedback that they're getting from the players? So I think we'll start with Rob on that one. You've put your players in the belt for 3 seasons now?
Yes.
3 seasons now. What's the feedback that you've gotten back from the players wearing the belt?
Well, it's tough to get really much feedback from a high school kid. So for me, it's especially the lower half. Do I have less leg injuries? Yes. Do I have less arm injuries? Yes. Whether they like the belt or not, I really, as a coach, I don't care whether they like it or not. It's whether those kids are able to stay on the field. And we've been very, very fortunate with that.
I just know from the research that we did in asking the players, they instantly could sense that they were wearing something at a higher quality. And in terms of the tension that you have on, you're going to notice, when we cinched some of the guys in, they were like, whoa, I'm feeling a lot of support, maybe too much intra-abdominal pressure. But they are going to notice it in a way that I think is positive. It's part of it. It's something they wear, but they're getting benefit. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, I would just kind of continue by saying players just want to wear what everyone else is wearing. They just want to copy each other. And so once one teammate has it and they like it and they're performing good, then everyone wants to have it. So it's really not, a lot of people don't have their own opinions. They're just followers. So if you can get one guy in it and they're a stud, everyone else is going to wear it.
I was just wondering at a high school level, if there was any benefits for just like with their smaller kids too, not just like, I mean, at the D1 professional level, they're giants, right? Like, does that belt help kids that are smaller, maybe in stature and height and all that, just as much as bigger?
It's
Thank you.
actually even more important, to be honest, because when kids are younger, they're obviously not as forceful. And, you know, there was a 13-year-old that came to the arm care booth that I saw. I was 6'1", 185 pounds, and I do work with USA Baseball. These kids that you're talking about they're getting bigger. They're becoming men. And any time that we can help a player, assist them in maintaining protective strength, it's a benefit. You know, I got young kids, 6 and 8 years old. I wish there was a belt that was small enough for them. I mean, maybe I could cut it down.
No, that's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Because the youth levels, you know, that's really important. A lot of them, they can't engage the same way. So, you know, middle school, really, really important. You know, and every client I have that's an individual client, I get them the belt. Like, that's how much I believe in it. You know, and I think it's something. If you're on the fence about, at least you as a coach, you should be buying a belt. And I'll tell you why too. My job, and probably a lot like yours, you may be sitting for a long time in the day, right? And that's not really good for our lower backs. It's not good for our core. Wearing this belt will reduce back pain. Like, you need to experience this to really understand it too. Mm-hmm.
The performance of the belt, like the lifespan, like how long will that last?
Are you college or high school?
High school.
It's a career belt. No, they're serious. They don't. I mean, I'm wearing a 3-year-old belt right now. It's our baseball team belts. They last forever, and they're awesome. They really are.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And in fact, like here's my thought. I don't think you want to share the belts, right? Like, if you're buying a team set of belts and you're trying to cut a 34 and wear it on a whole bunch of people, I don't think that's a good idea either. You know, I think there's a feeling about having someone have a fresh belt. And the other thing, you're doing your players a favor when they move on, that they have something that, you know, the team got for them, and it's a connection, and it's something that you're going to be protecting them long term. So that's another thing too. I've heard that question before. If I get team belts, you know, should I keep them and not give them to the player? You know, I'd be considering that.
Yeah, I mean, even though there is an elastic element to the belt, I would say it gets better the more you wear it too. It's kind of like boots. Like, I've worn this for 3 years. I had this when I was in Taiwan, and I was like, do I want a new one? Everyone wants something new, right? But I was like, then I don't want to say break it in, but you don't really have to break it in. But the longer you have it, the more comfy it gets. I mean, you're wearing one that's 3. I'm wearing one that's 3.
2.
He's wearing one that's 2. And we're for the company. We could have probably gotten a new one today, and we didn't.
Well, I've been trying to get a new golf belt, and I throw this out at Travis all the time. He still hasn't given me a golf belt. So
I'm wearing the new
I'm just
golf
letting
belt.
y'all know that.
Yeah. I'm actually wearing the new golf belt. I love it. So we'll get you one, Rob. I've got a question for Ryan, too. Obviously, you've worn it 3 years. You said that you wore it in Taiwan. Have you seen any of your other players? We talked a lot about pitchers today. And Crotin, you can probably answer this too, but do you have any teammates that currently wear the belt that are non-pitchers?
Oh, yeah. I was just wearing my belt one day, and I took it off, and one of my locker mates was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's just a belt." And he was like, "Dead. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?"
Keep going.
He was like, "Oh, I like that." I was like, "Yeah, it's just a belt. You want to try it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so he's like, "I like this." And I was like, "All right, I'll get you one." And then I ended up getting like 4 or 5 more for other guys. And then they were like, how do I cut it? And I just showed them, and it was super easy. And then they love it. So
The other thing I want to say, put your hands up if you coach a lot of two-way players at your level. Yeah, there's a lot, right? I'm seeing a lot more two-way players in college too. We did talk about pitching, but the slap tear risks in hitters are going up too. You know, a lot of guys are having lead shoulder injuries. So, you know, the way to protect your team, especially with the two-way guys, they get a lot of abuse. Is important. I know I showed a lot of data for pitching, but hitting, my belief is that you're going to have less fatigue of the lead arm, and it's actually going to move faster, because that's what I've seen with pitching. You're throwing harder, that the segments are moving faster. So consider that as a kind of a full team aspect, and especially for those that have really high overuse risks.
You mentioned earlier about the tension in the belt, of it matters if you have it tight or loose. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, because it works almost like a retaining wall. So the one thing that I've seen just in the case study, bigger players, they can benefit from a tighter belt. Now, we did extremes. We went the regular belt length, and then we cinched that thing all the way in. Last hole. There's somewhere in the middle that they're going to find their ultimate tension. Some of those players responded very high to a really tight belt because it's pushing on them more, and their core musculature pushing on it doesn't have to work as hard to create that pressure. Okay, a thinner, kind of smaller dimension player around the core region, something that was more on their belt length, responded better. It was almost too much, and they are also needing more elasticity. A bigger player is generally more forceful. They have more mass-based momentum. The smaller player is more velocity-driven because they're not as heavy to create pitching or hitting momentum. So it does matter, and we are going to talk a little bit more about how we did the testing to evaluate the response. Yep.
Any final questions? All right, appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Just want to bring up a couple bullet points as we wrap up here. We are booth 1348. Rob is going to continue telling stories, sharing his experience in MLB. Ryan, I believe you're going to come back for a little while.
Right after this, we'll go and we'll cut a belt. We'll show you. I'll talk to you a little bit more. You might have more questions when you see it.
We'll show a closer demonstration of the fit process.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also show you a couple of exercises that we have that make you feel the belt, that utilizes the IAP, intra-abdominal pressure, and you can actually feel it working right away. And then, as we close here, there's a pretty good and significant pictures that are here on the side of the screen. When you got players two-way, when you got players like Shohei wearing the belt, when you got players like Cal Raleigh, who's been in the belt for 3 years now, 159 games, I think, was his total behind the plate. I mean, that's an unbelievable season, catching these guys and just up and down movements all day long. And then you've got Yamamoto, who obviously Japanese player, two of them. The company, as I mentioned, started in Japan. Our creation and culture, was based in Japan. The innovation, the creation, the manufacturing capabilities that we have, and the care that goes into manufacturing each and every belt is very well trusted and known in and around the league. So I just encourage you guys to come on over to booth 1348. We are going to be giving away that Cal Ripken Jr. ball right away. So head right over there. Give us, 3 to 5 minutes to walk over there, but we're going to be, launching this ball. Somebody's going to walk away with it right now. If you have not signed up on the QR code, a couple people back there, I believe, have cards still. QR code to process and put your name in the drawing for that. Rob mentioned that he's got a secondary giveaway, so I'm excited to see what that is. And hopefully, like I said, we see you. As a company, we want to work with each and every one of you. As a company, we want to support you. We want to support your players. We want to support your coaches. We're here for the long game. That's our motto at Core Energy. So I just want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on stage with us. And we'll see you back at 1348.